I want to take this opportunity to speak directly to the community regarding Build Your Own Grade, the initiative, and the concerns that many of you have voiced in the recent weeks. The Board of Education has received a significant amount of correspondence from you. We hear you. Your questions, your frustrations, and worries have been clearly and consistently expressed, and they deserve clear answers. The concerns we've received generally fall into three main categories. One, the digital learning management system. Many of you have asked about how the BYOG platform was developed, whether it met student data privacy standards, and if proper procurement procedures were followed. Two, instructional practices. Others raised questions about the use of video-based instruction, the amount of screen time for students, and a perceived decrease in direct teacher instruction. And three, grading and assessment. We've also heard concerns that the grading system was confusing or discouraging for students, particularly the idea that students were building their grade rather than the more traditional system of starting at 100 and losing points through the term. Each of these concerns is important. The board's immediate focus is on the questions surrounding the digital learning management system, its development, data privacy safeguards, and any applicable procurement and contracting requirements. These are serious matters that require an objective and thorough review. To ensure a thorough and impartial review, the board will engage in an independent outside counsel to investigate these issues. Once that process is complete, we will share the findings with the community as appropriate. At least until all questions have been answered and verified, the BYOG digital component will remain suspended. With respect to concerns about instruction and grading, those matters are being addressed by our administrative team and educators in consultation with the board. Principal Parnell has already provided some initial updates, and more information will follow as plans are refined. I know that the passion behind these concerns comes from a place of love and care, love for your children, and a deep commitment to their education. I also know that when something feels uncertain or unfamiliar, it can create frustration and even mistrust. No, I know I am. Oh. Sorry. Please know this. Every decision this board has made and will make is grounded in the same care for your students that you have for yours. All of us are parents too, including parents of high school learners that share the same hopes and expectations for our children's education and well-being. If mistakes were made along the way, they will come to light through this investigation, and we will own them and correct them. In the meantime, I ask for patience and grace as we take time to adjust, replan, and communicate next steps. We are listening, we are acting, and above all, we remain united in a shared goal to provide the best possible education and learning environment for every student in our district. Thank you for your continued engagement, your honesty, and your partnership. Resolution 45, resolution to appoint special counsel. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Mineola Union Free School District hereby appoints Whiteman, Osterman, and Hanna, LLP, a special counsel at the rate of $230 per hour to conduct an investigation. Okay. If you cannot be calm and quiet, you must leave. I'm very sorry. We have a meeting to get through. This is a public meeting. You don't have to like what you hear. I hear you. But you do have to let us finish. And if you don't think you can do that, then you need to leave, unfortunately. To conduct an investigation regarding a certain confidential matter subject to review of the retainer agreement by the board's general counsel. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education hereby authorizes the board president to execute all documents and take all actions necessary to implement the purposes of this resolution. Sorry. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Mokogwu, seconded by
Patrick?
Patrick. This is a pretty clear resolution. Does anyone have any conversation?
No, I just think it's really important to have somebody impartially look at this whole thing and give it back to us.
They can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't speaking clearly. My mic's not on. Okay.
Hold on. Nope.
Oh, now it is. Sorry. Oh, you missed my board report, too. Sorry. I think it's just really important, and we owe it to the public and to ourselves to get to all the facts, get all the information, and we felt that an impartial outside investigation was necessary, so I'm very pleased to make the motion.
Any other discussion?
We make decisions based on facts, not on emotion. And the best way to do that is to engage with a disinterested third party. To get an objective look, excuse me, I'm
Parents
talking.
can speak up. This will end, unfortunately.
Hey, there's a public comment at the end.
Thank you.
For the public comment.
Thank you.
This is a board meeting held in public. At the end of this meeting, there will be a 30-minute comment period.
I already stated.
In the meantime, we are conducting business.
I already stated that.
We will make decisions about this district based on facts, as we always do. We're not making emotional decisions.
Anyone else? Okay. Cindy, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 45 passes.
Okay, so before I begin, I want to recognize a few things. So in spite of over a year of planning, commitment, input, time, we had a failed implementation of our BYOG initiative. And for that, I'm truly sorry. I know a lot of parents are upset, and I also apologize for that. After 25 years of service to this district, I've somehow become the enemy, and I'm sorry for that as well. And I'm currently reflecting on how that transpired. My intention is, and always has been, to advocate for kids, ensure their experience in school is more enjoyable, and properly prepare them for the world they will enter. I know I've been outspoken about high school redesign and emphasis on skills, visible learning, and most importantly, that kids should know what they don't know. Intrinsic motivation isn't forced, it's developed. And it's becoming harder and harder with each generation. I could do nothing. It's not in my nature. We're trying to find solutions to clear problems. Grades have been a persistent problem at this high school, and this whole initiative is trying to take the mystery out of how a grade is calculated. I think it's imperative we continue the work through this initiative and create a more meaningful grading system. And I'm just going to walk through. So all of our the P12 continuum in the district is really about standard-based grading, curriculum, and assessments. We try to build things that are age-appropriate, that kids can understand where they are, what they're learning in the standard, and it's visible where their progress is. It's not experimental, it's based in a ton of research. These are books, these are some articles, all of which focus on engaging kids in the work they're doing. The timeline for BYOG started in 2024. I don't need to go through all of this, but it's been a lot of work over a long time. The agenda tonight, I hope to unpack 3 different areas: grading and structure, instruction, and the learning management system. So first, why did we adopt BYOG? There's years of inconsistency in grading policies. There's a poor correlation between grades and Regents results. At the high school, there's no visible alignment with curriculum and standards. We're trying to build a pre-K-12 alignment. We're up to the high school. I think there needs to be some more accountability on how our teachers teach and how they engage your kids. And lastly is developing curriculum and systems that could be adopted at a grade-wide course. We haven't had one course since iTunes U about 10 years ago. So where did we start? We spoke to the kids. There we go. I held focus groups in the winter. We followed up with a survey. We do the survey every year. This year we asked specific questions about grades. The questions are right there. The answers are varied. Some kids see issues, others not. Here are some actual quotes. All of them are very similar. Studied hard, my grade didn't reflect it. I studied a lot, put a lot of effort, I still failed. We asked the question, what improvements, if any, would you suggest to the grading system in the school? And we had over 250, so we used AI. We asked AI to put it into themes for us. And 4 themes emerged. One for grade recovery, a shifting of the focus, adjusting the weighting, and then, of course, there's kids that no suggestions or no problem. But if we try to agree on what grades should be, I think we could agree in these 3 categories. That there should be some measure to the understanding of the standard they're trying to learn. That if we're taking Regents exams, there should be a correlation between the score you achieve in a Regents and the grade you get in the class. And lastly, inform opportunities for growth and development. So if I got a 75, what do I do next? Does that 75 tell me why I missed 25 points, where my understanding is lacking, and how I can improve that? And do I have a chance to improve that? Currently, this is all of the grading by subject at the high school. And what you might notice is there's not a lot of objectivity in over 40% in most of those subjects. And there's very little detail on how that 40% translates into a kid's grade. I'll give you an example from last year's 8th grade living environment. The boxes on the left are the 197 students' grades by band. So 36 students received a grade of 90 to 100. When you compare those same students to Regent scores, the yellow is where most of the numbers should fall, if there was a correlation. But as you can see, for the 36 students, only 17 were able to achieve the same grade on the Regents that they got in the class. And that correlation fluctuates over time. In fact, 46 children failed, and of those 46, 52, there's only 52% correlation. 22 of them passed the Regents. And two things are alarming here. One, the correlation, but two, the number of failures is the most we've seen in years. And the other question that happens is, well, how do you make high school standards manageable? This is living environment that just changed to biology. So last year's Regents was living environment, this year is it's going backwards to the old subject. And you might notice on top those New York State levels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When New York State reports Regents results, they don't give the score. They give a level. In their interpretation, each of those levels is equal to a range of score. How do you take 16 pages of this and make it manageable? Well, this is where the concept of BYOG comes in. Week 1 is equal to a certain number of points for that standard. And the work is evident. So what I did is I asked our science people, can you give all the assignments in a book right after the points so kids can follow along? Here's the assignment I need to do. This is the value that assignment has. It continues to the end of the quarter where it equals 100. Those are the percentages. If you did all the due assignments in this book, you'd have 41 points or 41% of your grade. If you did all the labs in this book, you'd have 18 points or 18% of your grade. These are mandatory in order to pass the Regents exam. And exams would be 30% because we still have to take exams. I think it all makes it much more equitable for kids on how they track the work they do and correlate the work they do to their classroom assignments. The percentages will change in different subjects. The teachers have control of how they're going to do that. That's the concept of BYOG. And I want to pause for a moment to stress that. When we talk about the grading system, this is what we're talking about. We attempted to make it digital and more interactive. Obviously, that didn't go well. But it doesn't deter the fact that we did a ton of work to level how kids do work and how they get grades. You could have it in the hard copy form, you can load it on Canvas, but teachers have done a ton of work over 2 years to get to this point. And I think the biggest thing for this is we get actionable data from it. Every student is taking the same application assessment. We can use that and we can plan for corrections in the instruction based off of those scores. Moving on to instruction. We had 5 dedicated full days for teachers to come in and plan for the opening few weeks. In the beginning of the summer with the BYOG Institute, where we did a ton of work on station rotation, how to change classroom experience, different ways to engage kids in the material. We brought them back in August to work on notability and using some of the planning skills we want them to have for student management. The teachers were lockstep in how they designed this. The other big piece of this was conferencing. We're trying to implement something called discussion-based assessments as the counter to artificial intelligence. What we're finding is more and more kids know how to use AI and they beat the system. It is very hard to beat the system when you speak to someone. Those conversations are rich. They're the best form of assessment. The issue with conferencing is when the teacher is meeting with students or groups of students, what is everybody else doing? And we fell down on that. We did not have a good plan and management on how we can accomplish conferencing effectively. Teaching and learning impact, we're trying to change the dynamic of the classroom. Kids don't like to be lectured to. That's the essence of this, is trying to do things differently to engage them in the work. Are we experts at it here? No. Do we do it really well in the elementary schools? Yes. Are teachers trying? Yes. Are they all succeeding at the same rate? No. They also built a weekly structure. This was part of the institute. This was part of the work that they did. English teachers seemed to excel in it, and it wasn't as much of a problem for, say, a math teacher who's covering content at a quicker pace. That was the instruction side. In terms of the learning management side, since there's going to be an investigation, I'll keep this brief. This was openly developed for free for Mineola for a 9-month period. We met with teachers, we met with administrators, we built a platform that they wanted. It was always presented as a minimal viable product. Not one penny of taxpayer money was used for this product. There's no intention to charge the district anything. I will commit in writing to that in perpetuity. In terms of a data privacy agreement, PII, personal identifiable information, has always been protected. We collected 2 pieces of information: the name and the school email address. It was stored on a cloud server following standard protocols. This system does not talk to any other system. We don't even roster classes. There is no other information. There is no other connection to any other system in the district. And in terms of COPA, HIPAA, FERPA, none of those were violated. The Ed Law 2D was followed, and an agreement was signed. And another note on the COPA, we use hundreds of apps in this district. This has never been an issue with any app ever used at any grade level. And lastly, next steps. Every subject area will produce a learner guide similar to this. With point allocations for marking period 1, and they'll be distributed. We'll have those in digital form. If you want them printed, we can print them. The subject teams will continue to work on their weekly structure schedules, trying to find best practice for engaging kids in their work. And the continued communication from the principal, Canvas, and progress reports will happen accordingly. Thank you.
First up is Stephanie Guariglia. Oh, sorry, Steph, this is not your time. Sorry, not your time. Will Herman, where are you? Will Herman will be.
Means we don't want to take your time.
No, I'm
away.
not taking your time away. That's what I meant. It's not part of your time. Sorry. Will Herman will be our timekeeper. I know that sounds silly, but this is part of our policy. Okay, Stephanie. Thank you.
Good evening. What has taken place in this district with BYOG and QUAVE is not innovation, it's exploitation. You have thrown our district, our teachers, and our students into chaos, all for one person's selfish pursuit of accolades and profit. While teachers built the BYOG curriculum at Dr. Nagler's direction, I only have 3 minutes, he was privately registering his Build Your Grade website domain and forming QUAVE LLC. Hundreds of hours of teachers' work done on taxpayer time and with district resources were transferred into an uncontracted private venture connected to the superintendent. That is not collaboration. It is a conflict of interest and a misuse of public resources. You then put our students on a system built by an unqualified developer with no background check, lacking legal compliance, proper testing, or data safeguards. If the district valued our teachers' curriculum, why wasn't it on a secure, district-built platform? Why hand it to a teenager with no experience and no contract securing the district's interest? Meanwhile, QUAVE's website lists BYOG under its platform as part of its product, crediting only Dr. Nagler and his son as the team behind the innovation. Nowhere are the Mineola teachers who did the real work acknowledged. The credit, the control, and the benefit all point towards Dr. Nagler's private gain. The board acknowledged there was no contract or procurement and stated Dr. Nagler could potentially market this if successful. That comment provides a clear window into why pushing BYOG into this district seems to be his top priority above all else. Despite knowing the program was out of compliance, seeing the struggles of students and teachers, and knowing the site was malfunctioning, Dr. Nagler pushed forward for his own personal gain. That is not leadership. That is self-interest at the expense of our community. QUAVE may be shut down for now, but only after media attention exposed what was happening. We still have no assurance that our students' data is secure. As long as Dr. Nagler remains in charge, our students, our data, and our educators are not safe. This is far more than a policy lapse. It is a breach of trust, a violation of ethical standards, and a misuse of taxpayer-funded labor and technology. For the sake of our students, our teachers, and the integrity of this district, we call on each of the board members to do the right thing and take action. We demand accountability. Dr. Nagler must be suspended from his position immediately until the independent investigation has concluded. It is the only way this matter can be handled in an impartial manner and that our teachers are not threatened or retaliated against. Dr. Nagler, this district is great because of our students, our teachers, our principals, our staff. You have had the honor of being our superintendent. You no longer deserve that honor.
Number 2, Bob Citro.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm not an educator, but I know about conflict. I deal with it every day for the last 15 years of my professional life. I've learned a lot over the years. If you wouldn't want your decision on the front page of the newspaper, you probably shouldn't do it. My son first told me about BYOG a few weeks ago. I saw the platform was listed under the company Quave. New York State Record Show and LLC was formed July 2025. We kind of went through this. Stephanie covered it before. In other words, the chief executive of a public school district and his son created a corporation, registered it, and are now using the same corporation to provide services to the district he runs. This raises concerns over a conflict of interest. The potential to monetize this service, which was tested and refined inside a public district using taxpayer dollars, also raises serious ethical concerns. I invite you to read the New York State Comptroller's report on the Livonia School District case, which came out in July of 2025, referencing similar circumstances and the appearance of impropriety as a concern. Beyond the ethics, any project manager knows that an unbiased opinion is essential for a pilot program's success. District employees are asked to provide feedback on this project. But can they do that honestly when they report directly to the owner of the company and the district chief executive? Furthermore, as with any vendor, a formal agreement must be in place to establish guidelines, goals, prices, handling, based on information available so far and the board's own admission. It appears none of that has occurred yet. This raises serious concerns with the liability that should normally be spelled out in a contract, including the handling of personal information for children under 13, for some of them, who fall under federal privacy laws. It is the responsibility of the Board of Education to be good stewards of public funds and the primary overseers of the district. It is startling and outrageous to me that the board has not previously recognized how a program like this would be perceived once made public. Its appearance erodes public trust in the school, this administration, and the ability of the board to act with due diligence and impartiality. I, along with many here, hope that the ship is righted soon so we can rebuild the loss of trust that has occurred.
Ted Jarmenko.
It's been a while. I actually had no intentions of speaking tonight, but earlier today I came across something from a September 19, 2025 school board meeting. It starts at about 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 15-second mark in the video. That's not gonna work. There goes my time. Airplane mode.
We're patient.
Well, anyway, I won't take up too much time. Long story short, Dr. Nagler says that he will not back off. You have it?
When they control a lot of the focus of their work.
Right.
So we're not abandoning, this isn't,
We're not going rogue.
not a heretic. Not a heretic yet. I'll put the yet at the end. Yeah, we still know we have to comply with things. Should be absolutely 100% kid focused. We lose that a lot of times as adults. And we do things that's easy for adults, and we have to stop doing that. It has to be what's right for kids, and if it makes adults uncomfortable, I'm sorry, we're supposed to be able to handle that. And when the kids tell me it's not good, is when I'll back off. They haven't told me that.
Thank you.
And I do talk to them.
Thank you for coming.
Can I get a time check? How much time I got left?
You have 1 minute left, sir.
My only question is, how many 8th graders have to tell the school board that BYOG is not good and that they do not want it? Whatever your number is, and whatever your number or need is, I am sure we can have that presented to you, being the school board representatives. In that clip, Dr. Nagler said, when the kids tell me it's not good, is when I will back off. Well, the 8th graders proactively started their own petition to end BYOG. That petition has over 100 8th grade signatures. The students are pleading with the school board to put adults' egos aside and not mandate BYOG. Since those comments, Dr. Nagler hasn't backed off. He actually doubled down last week. Instead of hearing the kids and doing what Dr. Nagler said he would do, he has moved BYOG onto canvas and made it abundantly clear that BYOG is not going anywhere. Let's be responsible adults, listen to our 8th graders, and keep attorneys out of this. I'm proposing an off-ramp, which I believe an overwhelming majority here can get behind. The district already has multiple opt-in programs, such as dual language synergy. I don't think it is an unreasonable request to not mandate BYOG in light of what has been transpiring. Making BYOG an opt-in program will significantly turn the current temperature down. This is currently an 8th grade concern, but mandating BYOG affects everyone younger than them. I am pleading with the school board representatives to consider making BYOG an opt-in program instead of continuing the current trajectory of shoehorning BYOG into canvas and mandating it. Dr. Nagler isn't the only one who has the ability to double down efforts. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. Lastly, what does the board need 8th graders to do to further show that they do not want mandatory BYOG? Thank you.
Thank you.
Did I get it?
Mr. Jarmenko, you went a little over, but that was really impressive. That was impressive. Gina B.
Hi, my name is Gina Angelilla Farietti, and I'm the parent of a first grader in this district. We're watching too. I also bring 17 years in education as a math teacher and restorative justice coordinator with an expertise in social emotional learning and equity. I've built innovative learning models in New York City public schools, so let me be clear, I do believe in innovation. I view this project as a parent, as an educator, and as someone who knows how learning environments shape outcomes. While we see you've moved BYOG to Canvas, it is still the learning model that remains a real concern. The BYOG model is not authentic, self-directed learning. It replaces active inquiry with students passively completing tasks to gather points. Starting every unit at 0 is demoralizing. It tells students they're failing before they begin. Starting every student at 0 also fosters anxiety and fixed mindsets. We need skills-based mastery where students see growth over time, build confidence, develop resilience. This approach is antithetical to the district's own growth mindset values. True growth mindset recognizes effort, progress, and the ability to learn from mistakes, not wiping the slate clean and forcing students to climb back from nothing. When learning becomes about points instead of ideas, curiosity fades. This program literally defies the research, ignoring decades of evidence about the power of active human-centered learning. The deepest learning happens through active engagement, collaboration, project-based work, real-world exposure, and teacher feedback, not isolated screen-based tasks. BYOG reduces human interaction to almost nothing and diminishes the teacher's role to passive monitor when students need guidance, mentorship, and connection. We also cannot ignore the mental health risks of excessive screen time. Studies show that anything more than 1 hour per day of screen use is linked to lower curiosity, lower self-control, more distractibility, difficulty making friends, and emotional instability. Kids using screens 7 hours a day or more than twice as likely to be diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Technology is a tool, not the teacher. True innovation requires connection, collaboration, and evidence-based practice. Experimentation is fine, but it must be transparent, piloted properly, and designed with input from teachers, students, and families over time and with data iteration. And so tonight, we must put ethics above ego and do the right thing. You see a community here calling upon you to listen, not because we're afraid of change or innovation, but because we recognize when something is deeply wrong. And you should too. We are calling on the administration, the board, and the superintendent to pause BYOG rollout immediately, or at the very least give parents an opt-out option. Replace BYOG with a research-based, innovative approach that prioritizes active, teacher-guided, student-centered learning, proven to build skills, confidence, and curiosity. Technology can enhance learning, but it should never replace human connection. Commit to a public review for all future innovative programming that includes teachers, parents, and students, along with multi-year small group pilots to gather evidence, data, and feedback before district-wide implementation. When a community gathers in force, it is time to listen. Truly listen instead of pushing forward just because you believe you know best. You have an opportunity tonight to start rebuilding trust and show that our voices matter. I hope you listen. Thank you.
Kathy Scorzia.
Hello. I am a mother of 5, an educator, and an advocate. The mandatory implementation of BYOG is absolutely disgraceful. The members of the Board of Ed are representatives of the community who are trusted with decisions on our children's education. You have failed the children, parents, teachers, taxpayers, and the community as a whole. This program, created by Dr. Nagler and his son, along with collaboration from teachers and administration, should never have been implemented due to conflict of interest and failure to follow compliance. Was there theft of service? Were teachers paid by Mineola to blindly work for Quave? The business co-founded this past July by Dr. Nagler and his son. You use the expertise of our teachers to create a program that eliminates them and leaves students to fend for themselves. Our educators are trained to teach to the needs of each individual student. Let the teachers teach. This program is not unlike other programs that are used in the district, such as DAC or the Double Accelerated, which only puts kids a year ahead in math because currently every 8th grader takes Algebra 1 and biology. They are not given a choice. This is mandatory. Why do we have a mandatory AP computer science course in 9th grade? Why is it mandatory? Why only in 9th? The surrounding districts of Sewanaka, Herricks, and East Meadow allow students to take the course throughout high school. According to the data from New York State, 30% of students who take the test are proficient in Mineola, which is only 28% of those enrolled. The proficiency rates for the other districts mentioned are more than double ours. Sewanaka at 66%, Herricks at 85%, and East Meadow at 87.5%. What is the benefit of having all 9th graders take this course? Why aren't you offering it over 4 years? Why is your priority to show we have more students enrolled in AP courses if they are not showing proficiency? How does this benefit our children? No choice given and forced to take a class when they could take a different course that would be to their benefit. Dr. Nagler and the board just want to show the number of AP courses and advanced classes without any regard for our children and their future. Mineola has no problem pushing kids through the system and graduating them out with less than proficient reading levels. We can put time and money into BYOG and any other idea Dr. Nagler and the board decide is innovative. But for years, parents like myself have had to fight for our children to receive reading programs and related services to support the needs of our children. The BYOG is using the children of Mineola to benefit Dr. Nagler and his son, and again I ask, why did the board allow this? To the board, in case you forgot, Dr. Nagler works for you, not the other way around. Stop allowing him to abuse his power and influence your decisions. Stand up for what is right. Stand up for our children.
Destiny Piorello.
Hello. I'm heartened to see so many people here tonight advocating for our children. I'm thrilled we have so many teachers living in our district who can speak with firsthand knowledge about best teaching practices and methods, especially since our teachers aren't able to speak as freely lest they lose their jobs. I appreciate these parents' experience and their opinions, and so should the board. I almost didn't speak tonight. I knew the other parents would be much better at explaining our objection to BYOG. They have the hard data. I'm just a mom. I'm just a mom of 2 amazing kids, both at the high school, both with IEPs. I have a bit of a different experience with Mineola schools. For many of these parents, this is their first time being disappointed or frustrated with the school district. For me, it's just the most recent in a very long string of savings over substance. I'm just a mom that from the time my oldest was 6 years old, I've been battling this school district to meet my child where he was, to see him and to educate him. I'm just a mom that has been misled by the school board, by the special education department multiple times. You know, Dr. Nagler, you said earlier you're supposed to know what you don't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. I trusted you and you let me down. I'm just a mom who has taken her kids to all kinds of experts, sought therapy and treatment to help her children thrive. Every professional we met with warned me about how difficult it is to get appropriate services in Mineola. 4 therapists, 3 advocates, 2 psychiatrists, a developmental pediatrician, and my personal pediatrician. Everyone, when I said what school district I was in, they gave me the, oh, bless your heart face, and apologized for my poor luck. I'm just a mom, and even though I know more screen time isn't going to solve the issues we're facing as a district, BYOG increases screen time for my child by at least 4 hours a day. As a mom, I know that additional screen time increases behavioral issues in children. It leads to increased anxiety and depression. It also exacerbates poor executive functioning. All things my children have struggled with through the years. The best way to educate children, regardless if they're neurotypical or spicy, isn't complicated. It's not fancy. It's a great teacher in the front of the classroom engaging their students, making the material relevant and come alive. It's consistency and expectations for both students and teachers. In order to give students options in their education, they first need a solid foundation in basics. Students shouldn't just be passed along, which is a major concern with BYOG. We have some amazing teachers in this district who feel like their hands have been tied because of this system, regardless of the platform that it's being hosted on. Technology is a Band-Aid for struggling school districts and a distraction, quite frankly. I would hope that this board is swayed by the conviction of the parents that are here tonight and by all the data that they're giving you. And I really hope that you guys at least allow for BYOG to be an opt-in, but it needs to go. And I think that you guys really need to look at who our leader is, and maybe you shouldn't be there anymore.
Kate Condon? Did I say it right? Sorry.
Hi, I'm Kate Deganji Condon. I have 3 school-aged children. Unlike many here tonight, I don't have any children at the high school. Though there are great teachers and kids here, I wanted to be confident that my kids would leave high school with the skills needed for success in college and beyond. And I wasn't, because I wasn't convinced that the latest and greatest initiatives might replace best practices to the detriment of my children. So my husband and I sent our kids to other high schools, which is a privilege and not an option for everyone. Many families are dissatisfied with a system that they are not leaving. The Build Your Own Grade initiative, independent of the digital platform on which it rests, is emblematic of the district's leadership posture, one that prizes novelty over outcomes. And as parents, we are tired of our kids being guinea pigs. Like several administrators and instructional leaders, I too have a doctorate. We all could tell you about the extensive research we needed to do in order to demonstrate the merit of our proposed doctoral projects, or perhaps our own experience with getting a project cleared by an institutional review board, an independent group aimed to protect people that participate in research. And we could discuss the scrutiny undertaken by peer reviewers who evaluated the quality of our studies as we sought to publish them. In a quest to innovate, checkpoints, independent groups are essential to balance individuals' well-intentioned desire for quality improvement with the merits of the actual proposed change along with its potential risk. Here at Mineola, the Board of Trustees were elected to be that third party, to hold our administrators accountable and to look out for the best interests of our children. They are empowered to ask the hard questions and to say no. BYOG is very complex and a layered issue, but suffice to say there have been missed opportunities to proactively address many of the problems that are on the minds of those here tonight. BYOG was used at Synergy as an opt-in initiative. Synergy and BYOG share common principles and practices, emphasis on student autonomy and agency, asynchronous learning, and teachers as mentors or coaches. Synergy, as sold, no longer exists and came at a tremendous financial and opportunity cost.
Ma'am, you're approaching time. Just a few more seconds.
Okay. As those remain emphatic on propelling BYOG forward, this insistence raises troublesome questions about the motives behind doing so. Thank you.
Thank you. Nick Guariglia? Did I mess it up? I'm sorry, I was trying to look back and...
Everybody does, don't worry. So I don't have a prepared statement, but I do want to read something that was adopted by this board, 4 of you sitting on this board, on April 15th, 2021. It is the Code of Ethics for board members and all district personnel. The very first line. Officers and employees of the district hold positions to serve and benefit the public and not to obtain unwarranted personal or private gain in the exercise of their official powers and duties. There are other excerpts I'm going to pull from this, but that one's pretty big in this scenario. Except as permitted by law, no person may have an interest in any contract with the district when he or she individually or as a member of the board have the power to negotiate, prepare, authorize, or approve the contract. Interest. If anybody has any idea of what a conflict of interest is, you define that also. Interest, as used in this policy, means a direct or indirect material benefit accruing from a district officer or employee as a result of a contract with the district. Number 4, no person may invest or hold any investment directly or indirectly in any financial, business, commercial, or other private transaction that creates a conflict with his or her official duties, or that would otherwise impair his or her independent judgment in the exercise of or performance of his or her official duties. Conflict of interest has to be part of the investigation. I'm saying that now because you didn't say it before. 100%, as someone that knows about municipal law a little bit, because I've worked in it, there is a conflict of interest. My 5th point, one second, guys. Penalties. This is the very last line of this. Any person who knowingly or intentionally violates any of the provisions of this policy may be fined, suspended, removed from office or employment, or subject to additional or other penalties provided by law. This is the Code of Ethics for board members and all district personnel adopted on April 15th, 2021. 4 of you adopted this. 5 of you have to abide by this. And everyone that is an employee in the district has to abide by this. I am not for BYOG. I do not believe that there should be an opt-in. I believe it should be removed, and we should do a proper procurement, because that's what municipal law requires. And by the way, $100,000 in a budget that's $120 million seems very small, when now we're going to have to clean it up with a law firm to do a private investigation?
Greg Couture.
This thing on? I came here with a lot of prepared statements, but I'm first going to say my name is Greg Couture. All right. Long-time listener, first-time caller. And am I the only one that finds the irony that in the year Hochul banned cell phones, we now have our kids on iPads for 7 hours a day? All right. Just me, maybe. All right. So I was going to come here and bore you with a lot of technical stuff because what I do for a living is actually secure data. I've done it for companies like Comcast, NBCU. I do it for a lot of other companies now in my own business. All right, when this came up, I said to my daughter, where's the parent portal? Oh no, there's no parent portal. You can log in as me. Why was it rolled out without a parent portal? I don't know. Did some digging, so I log in as my daughter. Within 5 minutes, I found the database keys to our kids' data. All right, I'm not a hacker. I'm just somebody who knows where to look. All right, I sent most of you on this board an email on September 26th asking you to take this seriously. I ran some low-grade penetration tests on the site. The site was wide open. All right, my grandmother could hack this site and she's dead. All right, I asked you to take this seriously. Violation of COPA, Child Online Privacy and Protection Act. It's real, look it up. All right, I asked you to take it seriously. Video Privacy and Protection Act. You paired the two of them. And Dr. Nagler, you sat up here tonight and said, we just took the name and we just took the school email. Okay. And then you fired off a whole bunch of code I have here printed out to take the history, the viewership, and a whole bunch of other stuff which you're pairing in a Firebase database in a Google Cloud that as of 2 o'clock this morning is still up. The only way to forensically delete data is to delete that cloud instance, which I'm pretty sure Mineola doesn't own. Okay? So we've got some real problems here, and in your investigation, we need to know who signed off on deploying this thing into our personal lives. These devices are in our houses. They're beaconing our IP addresses, which means if that database has been compromised, not saying it has, maybe it has been, Dr. Nagler, it literally puts everyone in this room at physical risk and harm. So this investigation has to take this seriously, and names need to be put down on paper. Who authorized this? Why was this deployed without penetration tests or any other security checks? And why, when this was brought to your attention, Dr. Nagler, and you called me at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the 26th of September, and I said everything I said to you and I want to help you, you said you couldn't process this, you needed time to process it. I sent you a personal email with how you could start to fix this. You never got back to me. None of you got back to me. I opened a Federal Trade Commission's claim for COPA violation against Quave and you, Dr. Nagler. I then proceeded to alert all of you to what I was doing and tell you that if you didn't get back to me and work with me in some capacity, I would be forced to spend my day reaching out to my friends at the the Attorney General of New York State. So I did that, and I filed a claim against you, Dr. Nagler, for what you've done. This is serious. And just paying a lawyer to independently look at this isn't going to cover it, all right? The last thing I want to say is, Dr. Nagler, your job, by definition, is to guide us. You've lost your way. At some point, you decided it was your job to hold surveys and focus groups and build software and start to teach us how it should all work. You should be going to other schools that are implementing good programs and bring them back to us. If you can't guide us, you shouldn't be in this position. And you said you're doing some soul searching or something? Well, how am I going to be, and my kid's going to be guided by somebody who doesn't know his own path. Thank you.
Next up, Tony Dos Santos.
Good evening. I have been a student here. My kids are here. I have an 11th and a 5th grader. So good evening to the Board of Education. As a concerned parent and the member of the Mineola school community, I respectfully request a formal legal review, even though you guys are indicating it, of the Build Your Own Grade program and its implementation within our district. This request is based on the following serious concerns. 1, conflict of interest. The program was developed by QUAV, a company co-founded by Superintendent Nagler and his son. If district resources such as teachers or funds were used to support this platform, it must constitute a violation of the New York State General Municipal Law, Article 18, which prohibits public officials from benefiting financially, regardless of what Dr. Nagler says, that he has or has not financially been impacted by this. Number 2, procurement, transparency. It is unclear whether the selection of QUAV followed the required rigorous competitive bidding or procurement process outlined by the New York State Ed Purchasing Handbook. Were other educational platforms ever considered, or was QUAV selected without comparison? Was this program and company studied and approved? Does it carry any liability insurance? Cyber liability insurance? The lack of transparency undermines public trust and raises serious concerns about the fiscal responsibility of this district. Number 3, data student privacy. Under educational law, Section 2D, student data must be protected with strict security protocols and parent consent. We request full disclosure of what data was collected, how it was stored, where it currently is. I repeat, where it currently is, and whether parents are properly informed. Does a program comply with FERPA or COPA guidelines? Clearly it doesn't. Ethical leadership. The superintendent's true role as a district leader and a co-founder of QUAV raises true ethical concerns. Public education should not be used to pilot a private venture without full transparency and community consent, and now trying to mask the Build Your Own program in other platforms within the district is not acceptable. Therefore, we call on the board, commission an independent legal audit, which you clearly guys said you guys are, of the program's development, rollout, and impact to the student and to the community. Publicly disclose all contracts, agreements, and financial interests related to QUAV. Implement policy reforms to prevent future conflicts of interest and ensure ethical governance. Lastly, our children and wonderful teachers deserve a system built on integrity, transparency, and accountability. I urge the board to consider the long-term implications of using our district as a testing ground for privately owned products. Public education should not be provided ground for a private venture, especially when trust and transparency are at stake. To the Board of Education, with a petition of over 600 people, aren't your rights and duties to serve the stakeholders of this community that include students, parents, and taxpayers? So why? Why are you not doing your job and stopping this program and allowing Dr. Nagler to continue? Thank you for the time and listening to the concerns for the parents and members who care deeply about the integrity of our schools, teachers, and the well-being of our children.
And Brent Phelps.
Hi. I didn't spend a lot of time writing the great things that everybody else wrote, but I did want to share a few things. The first of which is Dr. Nagler, your apology. That was a great way to start. Maybe not everybody believes it, and our belief in that will only come with change. To the board, your role is oversight. You failed Dr. Nagler. You failed our school district. On what is my kids understand the ethics problem here. It doesn't take a lot of explanation. It should have been obvious. You failed. And what will really help is you guys apologize and then bring about change. What you see here in this room is a group of people who are passionate. That passion could be harnessed. So you can see this as a problem or an opportunity. And that this is a group of people that with the right change and decisive action, but part of the reason they're so angry is everybody who raised an issue got ignored or neglected for weeks. That's just not appropriate. You can do better. We believe you could do better. If you're having a rough night, that's because you can't just panic and hide when something like this happens. You need to come forward and you just say, and we got a letter from the principal of this school saying, we want to build something together. Well, you have here a group of people who want good education for our children. But the choice right now is to deflect. And we've seen that very clearly. And deflect until you get an independent confirmation of what you already know. That's not necessary, right? You already know. Start tomorrow figuring out how to harness this group to bring better education for our kids, and then you will find a group that gets behind you as much as they stand against you. And if you don't, my understanding is of 5 board members, 2 are up for election next year. Your replacement is in this room. 2 more are up the following year. Your replacement is in this room. And if you don't give them something to put their energy into, it's going to be into replacing you. And I don't think anybody wants that. You seem like lovely people who are trying your best. And you're doing this as a volunteer to serve. But now is the time to act. Don't wait. Don't stop. Don't deflect. Don't hide behind PR. Embrace your community. And your community will come back, and I will help try to motivate people with you to embrace you back and say, let's come together. But we have to start tomorrow.